The Cold Hollow Encounter, Pennsylvania, 1982. It was the fall of 1982, early October, when the leaves burned red and gold across the Pennsylvania hills. My buddy Danny and I had planned a weekend out in Cold Hollow, a remote stretch of forest up near the Allegheny foothills. It wasn't a marked campsite or anything, just deep woods, a creek for water, and enough solitude to make you forget about the world for a while. We were both 22. Fresh out of trade school and looking for one last adventure before winter set in. We took Danny's '74 Ford Bronco, the one with the busted tail light and rusted wheel wells, and made our way up the old logging road, bouncing over ruts and roots. The radio crackled, jumping between static and music as we climbed higher into the hills. Just as we hit the clearing, the familiar beat of Steve Miller Band's Abracadabra came through the speakers. Danny drummed his fingers on the steering wheel. "Man, this song is everywhere," he said. "You either love it or you're sick of it," I laughed. "I'll take it over dead air." We reached a spot by the creek, killed the engine, and got to setting up camp. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of damp leaves and pine. We built a fire, cracked a couple of Iron City beers, and let the silence of the woods settle around us. It was peaceful, until we heard the first noise. It was distant at first, a low, rhythmic knocking, like someone striking a tree with a heavy branch. 3 knocks, a pause, then 3 more. Danny looked at me. "That's weird. You think there's someone else out here?" "Doubt it," I said, listening hard. "Maybe a woodpecker?" "Nah, too slow." We let it go, but the knocking continued on and off for the next hour, moving around in the distance. Sometimes closer, sometimes farther. By the time the fire had burned down to embers, the woods felt different, charged, like the air before a storm. We turned in, figuring a night's rest would make everything seem normal in the morning. Sometime past midnight, I woke up. At first, I wasn't sure why. Then I heard it, the heavy crunch of footsteps outside the tent. Not a deer, not a raccoon. These were deliberate, 2-legged strides, slow and steady. I held my breath, listening. The steps circled our tent, once, twice. Then the breathing started, deep, raspy inhalations, like someone with bad lungs standing just outside the nylon. I reached over and gripped Danny's arm. He was already awake, eyes wide in the dim lantern glow. "What the hell is that?" he mouthed. I shook my head. We sat frozen, barely breathing ourselves, as the footsteps stopped directly outside our tent door. A long silence, then a low, guttural growl, so deep I felt it more than heard it. Danny grabbed the hunting knife from his pack. I reached for the hatchet we used for chopping firewood. My heart was pounding so hard I thought whatever was outside would hear it. Then, just as suddenly as it had come, the presence moved away. Slow, heavy steps retreating into the trees. We sat there for what felt like an eternity before Danny finally whispered, "Screw this, man. We're leaving." We grabbed our flashlights and unzipped the tent as quietly as we could. The fire was completely out, leaving only the faintest orange glow in the ash. The Bronco was about 20 yards away, and between us and it, the forest loomed, dark and absolute. We moved fast, trying not to make noise, but halfway to the truck, a snapping branch stopped us cold. Then, from the tree line, something stepped into the dim moonlight. It was massive, at least 7 feet tall, covered in dark, matted hair. Its shoulders were impossibly broad, its arms long, hands hanging past its knees. And its eyes, reflecting our flashlight beams, glowed a dull amber. It didn't charge. It didn't make a sound. It just stood there watching. Danny fumbled with his keys. The jingle made the thing shift, tilting its head. I could barely breathe. Every instinct in my body told me to run, but I knew better. "Nice and slow," I whispered. We backed toward the truck. 5 steps. 10. Then, as if deciding we weren't worth the trouble, the thing let out a huff, almost like a sigh, and turned back into the trees. The moment it was out of sight, we bolted. Danny practically dove into the driver's seat while I scrambled in, slamming the door. The Bronco roared to life and we tore out of there, fishtailing on the loose dirt road. Neither of us spoke for miles. Abracadabra had started playing on the radio again, but neither of us sang along. When we finally hit the main road, Danny let out a shaky breath. "We don't talk about this, man. No one's gonna believe us." I nodded. "Yeah, but here I am telling it. Because some nights when the air is still and the woods are quiet, I swear I can still hear those knocks in the distance." 3 knocks. A pause. Then 3 more. And I know. It wasn't just the wind.